Nice.
Okay, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. This is the Safe Room with yours truly, the President Shon Williams, a safe space for entrepreneurs and business owners to share their personal and professional stories. Today, we are here with two amazing guests. I'm sorry. Are you hearing feedback? Here with two amazing guests. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. Are you hearing feedback?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm noticing there's feedback.
Okay, I've closed everything.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm noticing there's feedback. I don't know if it's me on my end.
Closed everything.
Okay. Can you still hear me, or like do you still hear like the feedback going?
Still hearing it.
Okay, hold on. Like you still hear like the feedback going?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, but there is a delay.
Oh, I see what's going on. It's probably on my end. Hold on. Oh, I see I think because I'm probably live on YouTube that it's probably doing that right now. Hold on. Oh, I think because I'm probably live on YouTube. I think there might be an issue. Let me remove that. Yeah.
And there's a bit of a delay.
I don't. Yeah, because I have it pulled up for some reason, so I didn't know. This is my first time trying the YouTube feature, so maybe if we give it a couple of seconds, it'll probably be fine. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I noticed that there was like the YouTube connection I have, so hopefully it'll probably disappear. I don't want to be where I'm hearing any feedback on my end. Hopefully it'll probably disappear. I don't want to be where I'm hearing any feedback on my end. Still kind of hearing it. Hopefully it'll probably disappear. I don't want to be where I'm hearing any feedback. Do you guys still hear it too?
Hearing it. Yeah. Can you hear it? Still having both.
So that's kind of odd because I.
Yeah. Can you hear it? Still having both.
So that's kind of odd because I.
Yeah.
Well, what about now? Is it gone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but you know what? That's what we do here on the Safe Room podcast. So let's start the intro again. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. This is the President Shon Williams, all in the glories of the mistakes and errors, but we are here at the Safe Room podcast, a safe space for entrepreneurs and business owners in Toronto to share their personal and professional stories. Today, we have two fantastic guests here with me, and we have a very deep relationship. So let me just take you back to 2021. I was just a simple old boy trying to get my podcast in a better state. And there was one individual I met here through my, professional work, and we had a really great relationship that turned into even more talks, just more back and forth. And eventually I got to use their space to do all my in-person interviews. But I know I'm sharing all my personal things. So let me give you an actual gist of what they do and what they represent. So this is Andrea Battersby and Geoff Doner. They are the co-founders, co-creators of ArtHouseTO. So ArtHouseTO is an art project that addresses affordable housing, legitimizes artists and creative spaces, and it responds to food insecurities, provides platforms for knowledge sharing, and nurtures for pollination of disciplines. That right there deserves a round of applause. Just absolutely amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome on the Safe Room podcast, Geoff, Andrea. How are you both doing?
Really good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's really an honor. Thank you, Shon.
Yeah, it really is. Like we genuinely are honored to be with you here. Yeah,
we're big fans of yours, and watching your evolution as a creator has been really wonderful and a gift.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
And
you've energized our space. You've introduced us to so many incredible humans through your interviews. And yeah, it's just been an incredible experience connecting with you. So yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm sorry you had to see that little mistake at the beginning with all the technical difficulties. But you know what? That's
No.
okay. We are here for all the good moments, for all the bad moments. I'm not going to hide anything based on any mistakes or any shame. You got to take accountability. So it's fine. But at least we're here. We're keeping the ball going. So I say let's keep the ball rolling. And we're going to start off with our main segment, the hot seat. So I have 4 questions for the both of you, and I just want you both to answer them to your best ability. So are you both ready?
Yep.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. So outside of the work that you both do, tell me something about yourself separately in 1 sentence.
Okay.
Outside of the work I do, oh my goodness, everything's all braided together. Oh my goodness, this is a hard one. I love to baby houseplants that I find on the side of the road, and I try to nurture them back to health. And it's a little side gig that sometimes works out and sometimes doesn't, but I'm usually willing to give it a try.
That's interesting here. I love how Geoff was kind of nodding his head like, oh yeah, that's very, very true.
She has taken things that I would just have cast away as beyond dead and bring it back to life.
Or not.
Yeah, no, but usually she does bring it back to life. So she has definitely the green thumb that I don't have. I would say for me, outside of the work I do, I have synesthesia. That's a cool thing. Synesthesia. So my particular synesthesia, for those who don't know, it's basically crossing senses. So when you hear something, you will taste something, or when you see a color or you hear a sound, you will see a certain color. And for me, I have a color for every number, for every day of the week, for every month of the year. And it's been the same my whole life. It's been the same colors. So, and for example, like with phone numbers, I'll forget the numbers, but I'll remember the colors, and then the numbers come back. So that's just, yeah.
Interesting. I never, met someone who's had that situation or like has actually expressed it here on the podcast or in just in general.
People would be surprised, I bet, to think that if they were actually to explore that, more people would probably realize, oh, I have that too. It's just not something that we commonly talk about, but yeah, synesthesia.
Okay, so we got synesthesia and we got babying little plants. That's a nice little 1-2 combo there. So okay, so my second question that I have, and this one's a very interesting one. So in your spare time, what is something that you like to do? And what is probably for something I want to ask for the both of you, a hobby that the other person does that you would like to try out?
Okay.
I'm just confused on a couple words there. Spare time and hobby. Because our personal and private lives are so braided together with our art practice that even our hobbies are like part of our practice, even if it doesn't involve other people. But I guess privately, sorry, what was the exact question again?
Yeah. So like, probably if I could break it down like this. So what is something that you like to do in your spare time, like a hobby? And the second part of the question is, what is one hobby that the other person does that you would like to try?
Right. Okay. So I would say, well, it's not a hobby, but it's a skill that Geoff has, musical skill with instruments, especially like drums, that I would love to partake in more. It's not exactly a hobby, but it is like one of his skills that are in his toolkit. So it's not like his main gig or whatever. And the other one, I'm not sure. Maybe Geoff should take it from here.
Well, I would say the one for me that Andrea does and does very well is making hummus. And she makes it from scratch. So like dries the chickpeas overnight, and particularly black chickpeas that she's been using recently. And then makes hummus. So we rarely ever buy it, but we eat it all the time because Andrea makes it. But Andrea always makes it. I have yet to make it. So that's something that I would be interested in doing, although I wouldn't compare it to Andrea's, but hummus.
Okay. Interesting. But I feel like honestly, there's always something that you can always learn from each other. It's never a matter of just like sticking to one thing and then just kind of being separate. There's always something that you can like bounce off from a different individual. So I feel like, again, maybe it's like, Geoff, for you, maybe the next time I come by, you have to make some hummus and I'll have to be a judge and like taste test.
Don't judge me too harshly.
Everybody's got to learn.
And maybe we'll shoot it as a segment for our show as well here in the space.
We're definitely getting to that details for sure. Okay, so the third question that I have, an interesting fact that you rarely share about yourself.
That I rarely share.
The long pause of silence.
Sorry, radio fans.
I mean, I guess the synesthesia would have been a good one for that one right there, actually, because I don't really talk about that.
No, that's true.
That often.
And it is interesting for sure.
Yeah, I would say I would double my answers, and I would probably use synesthesia for this one as well, because I think that's something that. And I'm glad it's kind of brought up because now I feel like I should maybe talk about that a bit more. You know?
No, it's a fascinating occurrence, and I'd love to see it. We've always talked about seeing it represented in some kind of an art piece or something, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Andrew, are you also taking the synesthesia as like your answer as well?
No, I'm trying to get out of these questions. Interesting about
laying
me.
It on me.
Interesting about me. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm not sure. You know what? It's so hard to think about myself in that way. It's like, yeah, I'm really drawing a blank because I'm feeling kind of embarrassed or something. I don't know. Here I am on the radio with a spot
Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. There's lots of people who have come on the podcast before and expressed that it's a hard question for them to answer. So don't worry. I feel like one thing I would probably say that maybe the most interesting thing about you is like maybe you have it in there, but maybe there's something else that's going to be tapped in, you know, for the foreseeable future. So maybe that's something I could leave as like some encouraging words, perhaps. Yeah. So I mean, you never know. But I understand like these questions. There's a reason why it's called the hot seat. A lot of people are kind of like, wait a minute, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. I did not expect it.
Yeah.
That's good though.
That's the whole point.
It's good. It brings me back to my experience with improv, because that's what I loved about doing, like learning improv and taking improv classes. Because that's the whole idea of that, is putting you on the spot, and you not to think too much, just respond. You know. So this is good. I like the hot seat.
Okay,
bring us some more.
Well, this is the last question we got here for the hot seat segment.
I'm gonna really try.
Okay.
Hit me.
So, final question we have here. So, what is your personal safe room? So, what is a safe space? It could be physical, it could be mental, that allows the both of you to be your authentic selves.
Yeah. For me, I kind of think of two different kind of scenarios where one is surrounded by my nearest and dearest, including like Geoff, my partner, but also family, friends who are
Yep.
you know, really privy to all of our ups and downs and like who we just love to bits. And also being alone at a time where it's possible to actually take a rest and just kind of sit with my thoughts. That's, you know, I have to make time like that often. But when I can get there, the steps that have gotten me there have created a safe space, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of two things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's a safe room. I mean, yeah, I mean, Andrea, like we've been together for 17 years, and you know, nobody knows me better than Andrea, and I feel like I feel safe in her presence. But I also do like to meditate and to be in my own, to kind of, I guess, sort of get out of my way and play music. I mean, music for me is a safe place.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm safe when I am recording, or when not even recording, just playing.
Yeah.
When we have a piano here, which you've seen in our space, and just to be able to sit at the piano and not think, and in fact, if anything, get myself out of my way. That is something for me, is music, for sure. I feel very safe with music, in particular with piano, because I was classically trained on piano. I started when I was about 4 years old, and, you know, studied for over 10 years. And so it's ingrained in me as a sort of a go-to to feel, I guess, to feel grounded, to ground myself. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like music is just a great place to just escape from just things that are happening in life, to just let off your emotions, whether if you're feeling happy, you're feeling sad, you want to celebrate something, or maybe you just want to reflect. I feel like music is like the best language to do that. So I definitely resonate what you're saying with what you're saying, Geoff, and even for you, Andrea.
It's vibrations too, right? So it really affects you physiologically too. So, you know, I mean, I guess that's why music's so powerful to so many people, right?
Yeah, and even for you, Andrea, just the sense of like family. I think that's so important nowadays. Just being able to connect with, you know, your loved ones, have that strong relationship. It's always, you know, something everyone is trying to do every single day, because obviously some people are very busy with work or other responsibilities.
Yeah.
So
you have to work at it.
Yeah, and I mean, we're living in this capitalist world of trying to, you know, we're this life of urgency, and it's really hard to find time to be with people that you care about and that mean so much to you. And so it's that much more important when it does happen.
Something occurred to me, Geoff, your answer created a kind of a flash of an image for myself, an alternate maybe, or another answer to your question, Shon. And that's kind of like the space between me and my mark making tool, like a pencil or whatever I have between me and the page and the pencil in my hand. I have a lot of ease, and that is a really safe place for me.
All right, absolutely, that's great to hear. Okay, so that was the hot seat segment. So very interesting.
Wow. We can chill now.
Wow.
I think you guys, listen, again, everyone has like their own different experience when it comes to the hot seat. Some people feel like they nailed it. Others feel like, no, that was a mess. But I feel like for you guys, it was interesting.
Of both of those.
Yeah, it's like it was great, but it was like, there's like the ups and downs. But again, that's what we're all here for. So you guys did a good job. But to everyone listening right now, if you're just coming in, you are listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. I'm here with Andrea Battersby and Geoff Doner, the co-founders, co-creators of ArtHouseTO. We're now going to get into the main questions, and I'm super excited for this because, like I said, this is something I've been waiting for a long time in terms of like having you guys on the podcast. So the first question I want to start off with is, how did ArtHouseTO come together? Because I know it's a very long history, a long story in terms of just the makeup of everything, and especially the work that you guys do. You are very proactive on social media. whether
Yep.
it's promoting other organizations, community events, or even talk about on the more political issues as well. And you guys are not afraid to get political on
No.
social media, which is something
No.
that I really, admire based on,
Mhm.
the stuff that you might have to go through when it comes to certain
you.
platforms like Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. But
Right.
I would like to ask you guys, like, how did ArtHouseTO come to be? And how did you know that this vision would pan out the way that it is, where you actually, accumulated such a huge following? It's now starting to show and reap its benefits.
Mhm.
Well, ArtHouseTO, probably a lot of people know it as the Instagram account.
Mhm.
But just to touch on the roots before that, and the kind of main thrust of the art project overall is to see these community-led convergence centers built that can accommodate, as you said in our intro, Shon, places of safety for everybody in the neighborhood, affordable living, legitimizing creative spaces, and bringing art to all kinds of different disciplines. So we designed this as an art project in response to multiple renovictions as an artist, a demo-viction, and then
During the pandemic.
and then COVID hit.
Mhm.
When we did have a
Yes.
renoviction during COVID, but I was just talking about like even
Prior.
before that.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think we had started Art House before we were going to move. But so it started out as like a really a brainstorm response to our precariousness, and then other artists across the city precariousness that is like built into the systems that are not really built for artists. It's not very supportive of individual and growing artists, right? And so, but of course our scope became wider and wider, and I was like, well, other people are facing precariousness in our own city, just the same way that artists are. We're all getting shoved aside, and neighborhoods are getting broken up. People are getting displaced. Accrued cultural value is being wasted. How can we get in front of that and actually proactively build a place that accommodates everybody that needs it, right? Some people are successful capitalists, and they, don't need the support of Art House. However, they will want to come and watch whatever's in the theater, and they will want to buy the vegetables that are going to be grown there. So there's going to be always a braiding in with the neighborhoods. But because during COVID, we couldn't get together with anybody to
kind of present the idea
or get fellowship or get feedback or whatever. We did have the opportunity to present to the Ontario legislature. When they were doing a survey of how the arts and culture sector was dealing with COVID. So we got to say, not good. And so not good that here's our response, a whole new way of looking at bringing art into focus in every discipline, not seeing it as separate, and valuing artists and creators while you're consuming the product of our efforts and expertise and stuff. But because we couldn't get together, we decided to go to social media, and ArtHouseTO started as an experiment in community building, trying to find others who are interested in this idea. And Geoff has been the amazing administrator who has magnetized a wonderful, evolutionary, wonderful environment and community here at ArtHouseTO, the Instagram. And I would love to just pass it to you, Geoff, to talk more about that.
Yeah, just a yes and that. So we call it a place for the displaced. And it's the people that have been displaced by the capitalist corporate sort of world that we live in, whole into artistic communities that are decimated, that enrich neighborhoods and then are decimated when a condo development comes in and doesn't acknowledge that community that was built there. In the pandemic and the following year, encampments have really become a huge thing in the city where people are displaced and nowhere to go. Shelters are full. We continue every year to have a city council that just fails us over and over again. And so when we designed this building, this creative convergence hub, we designed it. We have floor plans for it. We have 3D versions of it as well. And it's all color coded for the different sectors that we see within this building, with a community garden, art making spaces, geared to income rental units, community kitchen, harm reduction, all of this in one place. It's sort of our way of saying, hey, let's put all of this stuff together in one location on one property. So many not-for-profits work in silos and are trying to make it on their own, where if we are all together in one place, how can we support and cross-pollinate? And then also, what's that third element that will happen with all of these organizations together? And like Andrea said, we started at the beginning of the pandemic, couldn't really get together with people. So Instagram was the way to reach out, and how we connected with you as well. Just looking around the city, who's doing what in the city? Okay, I'm going to follow them. Who's working in food security, okay, or insecurity or whatever? I'm going to follow them. Harm reduction, affordable housing, I'm going to follow them and reach out and
as many artists
and celebrate artists as well. And then it became more of a, rather than showing people our idea of this building, people started to reach out saying, hey, would you be able to share this initiative, or would you be able to repost this? And then we started to put our idea of the building in the background more, and became more about amplifying and showcasing and supporting in the amazing work that people are doing in the city. And also exposing, and like you said, Shon, about being political, we are very political, and we don't shy away. And we don't shy away from it because we think it's really important to expose the corporate capitalist, late stage sort of capitalist nightmare that we're living in. The truth needs to be out there, and it needs to be exposed. But we have to balance that with the good work that people are doing on the ground. And if you're not connected to communities where people are doing the good work, you might feel hopeless. You might feel like there's no hope. What's the point? It's despair, because all that ugly stuff is loud and in your face. So we want to balance it also with like the work that you are doing, the work that artists are doing, the work that people are doing to support the encampments and to support working in harm reduction in those kind of areas, and to show that, yes, things can be really ugly and are in many ways. However, I feel hope. And I feel hope because I am connected, and we are connected with all of these amazing humans that are making a difference. And that is the only way forward, in my mind, is we have to take care of each other, because our systems have failed us, and we know that those systems are made to be the way they are. They're working the way they're designed to be. And when we understand that, we realize, okay, it's up to us. We have to band together, and we have to have solidarity and support each other, and leverage our privilege as well, for whatever privilege we have, to make this world a better place,
Yeah. Honestly, I really have nothing else to say. I feel like you guys both just nailed it on the top of the head. We can just wrap it up. Okay, guys, we'll see you next.
Thanks, Shon. This has been awesome. Thanks. See you later.
No, but I think the work that you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal. And I do remember when you did connect with me, it was through, again, my workplace at the time being, when I was working in the community doing community research, and we just kicked it off so well.
project, right? Yeah.
Yes, it was the Jane and Finch Community Research Partnership here in Toronto.
Great.
And I remember that, like, just from that interaction, we had a really good relationship. And I remember also you following me on Instagram when it came to the safe room. And I was just kind of like thrown off guard because I'm like, wait, who is these people like following me, posting my stuff? Like, am I allowing this? But at the same time, it's like, it was kind of nice because, you know, you're getting all this, you
What the
know,
hell is ArtHouseTO? Who are these guys?
yeah, so like you're getting all this traction, but I think overall the work that you guys speak of it's so important because, again, you talk about the vision of this convergence hub and how it would look like. I could probably say from personal experience, me being at your space doing my personal interviews, it kind of gave that realism in a sense of like, this isn't actually the convergence hub, but this is what it looks like, which is opening the door for artists, other individuals in the community, in the city, to come to do the work that they need to do and to support them, to amplify their platforms. I know from the conversations we've had, whether it's some of the people I bring on for like in-person interviews and you've connected with them, and there's a couple of people you have connected with based off of the interviews I've done at your space right now.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's amazing that to see the resilience and the push that you both had to keep this going despite the fact of the pandemic. And I think this is so important. The art of pivoting is so crucial because, again, the vision was to make it this convergence hub, turn it into like a real scale building. That was the vision. But because of the situation, it was switched to social media. And now it's kind of grown into its own plant where you can actually see like everything just kind of branching out. Everything's starting to connect. And you know what? I would always say to people that just because an original plan did not get executed immediately doesn't mean that it's written off. It doesn't mean that it still can't happen. I think with the presence that you both established with ArtHouseTO in the way, I think that's just more fuel to the fire to build on in terms of like making that convergence hub a reality as well. So I think that's, again, it's phenomenal.
Well, and it's building a community of like-minded individuals, right? And like-minded people that believe in these same sort of ethos. And like you said, that we have this small space. So it's kind of, here's our micro, we'll do what we can on a micro level with the space we have in the city right now, because space is a premium in the city, right? So we can do what we can as we can gradually grow. And I mean, the Instagram account really became the convergence center, right? Like it kind of is that center right now. And that is where everybody's coming together from so many different sectors and cross-pollinating. We've also had people who have partnered, who have never met before, but through ArtHouse, oh, you do this, oh, that's amazing. And then they've gone on to work together, which I think is really awesome, you know? And it's enriched our lives. Man, we have connected with so many incredible humans over the last, it's 4 years now that since we started that. And we're over 8,000 followers, and it's incredible, you know? And I'd like to think too, because we're so political and we don't hold back, we have lost a lot of followers because of that. But we remain true to what we believe. And we know that the followers who stick around, they must really believe in what we do. You know what I mean? So that it feels good. Like it feels good that there's that resonance, I guess, with what we do.
Yeah. There's a solid there's solid connections. There's authentic connections. And, you know, we've been building real relationships, and that takes time. And that has been a vital part of the recipe of this community building experiment that we call ArtHouseTO, the Instagram.
Is relationships. Absolutely.
And like I say, it takes time. And thank you for saying, you know, complimenting us and the arts on pivoting, to use that word. But it is an apt word because it's like, okay, well, as you said, we want to see this through. We really believe in it, but what format can it take right now? And also, like, kind of everything that we do is still informing and building towards the ultimate, which is the architecturally physical
Yeah.
iteration of it. But there's all these like steps to it, and accepting that things happen in steps has been hard. But I think maybe COVID made us kind of slow down on that a little bit, and I'm not sure, but
yeah, and it's true. It's building relationships, like with us, Shon, right? Like we connected in the first year of ArtHouseTO, and so it's been over 3 years that we've known each other, and like our lives have been so enriched by you, and we learned so much from you. And seeing your evolution with the safe room has been amazing, you know. And look, here we are now, we're chatting again.
Yeah.
and it was so organic, right? And I love that. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into my next question, and this kind of pertains a little bit deeper into the social media platform that you're on with Instagram for ArtHouseTO. Because I know for a lot of individuals, whether you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or even someone who is a creative, if you're trying to have a strong online presence, social media is always one thing that a lot of people are trying to figure out. And it seems like for you guys that you've been able to capture that strategy without having to basically erase your integrity to the content that you post out. There hasn't been a sense where you post something and it's been just for clicks. It's because, again, you mentioned authentic connections. I think that's a strong phrase, because all the stuff that you post, it's not for clout. It's not to grab attention. It's not for propaganda. It's the messages that you actually want to push out to your audience, and people resonate with that. But I do want to ask, for those who may be having that, you know, struggle of trying to figure out how to build a online community through social media, I want to ask you about, like, what were some of the challenges that you did have when you did decide, okay, let's build this on Instagram? Did you find that it was hard enough to capture those authentic connections? Was it just more coming up with a strategy of like, okay, what content are we going to focus on? Or like, are we just going to be reaching out to people and just connecting? Like, what was the process at the beginning that eventually led to this more formal structure of how ArtHouseTO is represented on social media?
Well, first, we figured out the strategy as we went along. The strategy was more emergent, I would say, than we knew what we're doing. Because honestly, I barely used Instagram before ArtHouseTO. I hardly ever used it. And I was actually on the other end of social media. It was like, okay, you know what? I'm sick of social media and I got to get away. And so it was ArtHouseTO that actually was the catalyst for me to learn about Instagram. So it was the project itself. It wasn't like, I'm going to learn Instagram to do this thing. It was just, well, here's a tool that people are using, and go where people already are and what they're already using. And Instagram, of course, you know, is a pretty big one. And it was before TikTok became what it is too. And the strategy was really, I mean, the building design really informed it, because I thought, well, you know, when you look at the designs of the building, it's like I mentioned, it was color coded. So it's food security, housing, the arts, legal aid, healthcare, all these things. So what I was doing really was looking for people working in those fields. So who in the GTA is working in food security, and who is working in helping with housing, and who's working in harm reduction, and you know, literally searching those key phrases, finding who's doing it, and then just following them. And there's some people that have like 20 followers, but they're doing amazing work. Well, I'm more interested in that than I am in what your follower count is or whatever. And by the way, we never pay for anything on our account. I don't pay to boost. We don't pay to ads or anything like that, because we want it to be organic. So that's basically how we started out, was reaching out people that are working in human rights and doing all of these amazing things. And then when we started to amplify and repost and become more about that
made a big difference.
It made a huge difference. And it was a way for us to sort of speak what we believe in, but in a sense through other people, right? So it's not like we are saying this thing and we're taking a stance and this is our commentary on this issue. It's like, no, we look at this person. This person is we feel aligned with. Let's amplify their voice and post them. And of course, we ask as well. We ask for the consent. And then that started to gain more legs of people were interested in hearing these voices. And so it is our voice in a way, because when you think how many posts can you do in a day on Instagram and how much content is out in the world, like we definitely curate what we do, right? We do amplify and repost, but we're curating it and we're doing it intentionally because we are offering a narrative that we feel is relevant to now, and we have fucked up many times and we've learned, and that's part of the process, right? But staying there and being accountable to that and learning, that has been a big part of our process as well.
It's funny, I was going to say that too, like
it's been some hard learnings, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. But like when we started reposting and just decided, oh my gosh, look at all these amazing things that are happening out there, let's connect all these points of light. Right. And yes, I can't remember what else I was going to say.
And act as a kind of a convergence, like a hub, right? Of bringing people together. Because when you think about it, you can pretty much boil down most of the problems in the world to imperialism and colonialism and capitalism and the marriage of those two and for-profit industry. Pretty much talk about any issue separately, you're probably going to find a convergence at some point of that they all come together in what these things are. So when you talk about the climate crisis, you can't talk about the climate crisis meaningfully if you're not talking about those corporate colonial imperial alliances that are causing the issues that we have. Because people have lived here for tens of thousands of years sustainably. Why all of a sudden under this blip, we're almost at the point of destroying the planet? Well, it's because of for-profit industry and colonialism, and you know what I mean? And I feel like that's sort of when we talk about a thread or a narrative, that is kind of that thread in that narrative in what we're posting. So I will post something from Gaza that is really horrific, and just today alone, for the 5th day in a row, there were people in Gaza that were bombed by Israel going to get flour for food. They're starving over there. They were bombed while they were doing that, right? So we'll post video from the ground, but then the next post can be like a bake sale in Scarborough, that's supporting a community effort. And it may seem like, oh, these things are so disparate, but they're really not. I mean, you can tie a thread to what the problem is and where the problems lie. And that is what we try to do with ArtHouseTO, is connect dots too, not just show these things, but connect the dots. And where does the real work need to happen? With what's going on in Gaza right now, we've seen how complicit our government is, how complicit our media is. It can't be unseen now. And we can't rely on these institutions that we used to. So how do we move forward?
Because we need firsthand stories.
We need to listen to the people from the ground. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I asked that question, because I feel like for you guys, the way that you approach social media is very interesting. Because I think for anyone who wants to have a social media presence, usually the ideal situation, and again, I don't want to like generalize here, but most people are looking on how the layout of their content's going to be. So like you guys mentioned, maybe you'll talk about something that's happening in another foreign country in Gaza, everything that's happening there, and then maybe the next post it's a bake sale. For other people, they'll feel like that's a little bit of inconsistency. I'm not trying to even say that what you guys are doing inconsistent, but a lot of people are saying that, like, if I'm going to do social media, I feel like everything needs to be fully consistent based on the content, the layout, the professionalism. When you go on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, maybe some people have like branding colors or like fonts are the same and everything like that. And listen, the reason I'm saying that because I'm guilty of it. I'm currently doing it right now because obviously I have my own
No, but that's
vision and
good.
goals.
It's also what is your intent, right? Like, I mean, so for us, when we started out, when you see at the very beginning of our feed 4 years ago, it's pictures of Art House and the building, and here's a floor plan. And then as you move up the grid, here's another element of the building. And we were doing that and trying to do that by branding it, by having the colors on it all the time. And it's just that I would say, first of all, do not follow what we do as far as any model of if you want to make it on Instagram, because we've kind of thrown everything out the window in that sense of let's do it a bit more intuitively. And we've built our following more intuitively rather than trying to beat people over the head with an aesthetic or as a thing or a framework. In fact, we kind of wanted to get ourselves a bit more out of the way and kind of do the opposite, really, of what you're saying, rather than having a cohesive look or whatever. We went the other way, really, you know?
Yeah.
I think the major difference is to what you're talking about, the model you're talking about, which is, makes a lot of sense. We're not trying to draw attention to ourselves and Art House necessarily, which we were at first. It wasn't quite working. But as soon as we switched to really showcasing other people's work, and as Geoff said, like connecting the dots, it just became
people gravitated to it, and we're magnetized to that. And people send us stuff all the time now on a regular basis of like, here, can you repost this? And I just repost it. Obviously, if it's something that's not aligned, but the interesting thing is that I don't think I've had to do that yet, where I've had to look at somebody who wants us to share something on a timeline and say, that doesn't really, and it kind of, I think, speaks to who we have attracted and the audience that we have, is that we're very aligned, and I think offering a platform where people can send us stuff and we amplify that and repost that. I like that people feel like they want to send us content, and that it's meaningful and helpful, I guess, to them.
And it means connecting with the other people that are part of Art House. And that is like, that's the beauty. Yeah. Right there.
So many incredible, so many humans, like so many relationships we've made that have just been like, that are incredible.
Yeah. But even like take us out of it and just like the other members of the community, like having that connection,
meeting each other.
Exactly. Like that's the wonderful, wonderful part of it.
Yeah. And the reason I mentioned it, because again, I think because you guys are that great, rare anomaly type of example of like, again, like we go against what most people would do when it comes to like a layout of like content and stuff like that, which I think is great. You're more intuitive. You just want to focus on the message. So it's like, even though you see a collective of like reels, posts and everything like that, all of it is kind of branched or umbrellaed under like one particular message you're trying to push out, which is great. Which I feel like, again, for a lot of common people who have social media and use it, there's like probably multiple things that branch out to one. But I feel like for you guys, again, you're more intuitive, which I appreciate. And I just wanted to kind of mention that because I feel like for a lot of individuals who may be listening to this, they may have never seen a structure like that to get such a positive reaction. But because, like, again, for you guys, it works. But I want to get on to the next question. But before we do that, again, if you are tuning in, if you're just hopping on right now, this is the Safe Room Podcast here on Love Bay Radio. I'm here with Andrea Battersby and Geoff Doner, the co-founders and co-creators of ArtHouseTO. It has been a very deep conversation, and I'm enjoying every single second of it. So I want to talk about Art House TV. Now, I've been hearing about Art House TV because obviously I've been there. You guys have talked about it. Funny fact for anyone who doesn't know, Geoff will probably say it before I say it, so I'm just gonna get it out the way now. I know that you guys have like a you guys will post on social media. You'll do like little clips or Art House TV, and basically you will hear like an awe sound effect. That was for me.
Oh,
So
I wish I had this ready to go. Oh. Sure.
yeah, so I was able to kind of lend my vocal prowess onto that. So thank you, Geoff.
Yeah.
So
It's our first bumper. It's our first ad for Art House TV.
Yes, yes. But I definitely want to talk about Art House TV because I know you guys have some big plans for that, and just kind of walk down what Art House TV, what you wanted to represent for anyone listening here, and like what are the plans for that? Are you wanted to still connect to ArtHouseTO? Do you want it to be where it's like separate, but you know, it may take elements of what's on social media for ArtHouseTO? Just go into detail what the plans are right now for Art House TV.
Well, so yeah, it was funny. So Shon, Shon was here just wrapping up a podcast, and you even had your coat on. You were like pretty much out the door almost. And I said, hey, hold on. I'm working on a bumper for this new idea of a Art House TV, or as we like to call it, TV. And I need someone to just say And Shon, of course, stepped up and said, I'll do it. And first take.
Yeah.
Done.
Perfect.
It's in there. It's on I think it's on our YouTube channel. And if it's not, I'll definitely get it on there as soon as we're done here.
Yeah.
So Art House TV is a natural evolution from the Instagram account. Yeah. Because we turned into more about amplifying and reposting, and you know, if you scroll through the stories, it started to me be like, wow, this is kind of like a show, you know, and more so than the building that, like you said, there actually has become a separation where there's the building and the idea and this whole convergence hub, but the ArtHouseTO Instagram has kind of become its own thing. And that's where this idea came along, where what if this was actually turned into a TV show where it's social justice in amplifying artists and celebrating artists, doing deep dives, but also user-generated content, which is really key to Art House TV. So people that were already doing their thing, like you're already doing your thing. So many people are already doing their thing, so to speak, and posting it and doing video. What if there was a platform that did that? And then, of course, we can go into deeper dives and go laterally with the show as well, where we can invite you in and we'll do an in-person interview. And we have this storefront space that we're in here in Riverdale. And so I've already started shooting segments, not unlike Much Music. I used to work at Much Music back in the 90s, and it was quite a unique thing with their environment that they called it. So it's a combination of throwing from here, live performances in here, live interviews in here, but then also throwing to other content and other film and that kind of thing. And it started as an idea of a show. We've pitched it to CBC. We've pitched it to a couple other folks with some measure of success in the response to the idea. And then it's growing into where we want to actually create our own platform and create our own channel, or sort of, so to speak, because I'll be honest with Meta, I have a lot of issues with Meta. I have a lot of issues with who runs Meta, and I have a lot of issues with the incredible amount of censorship that has been going on, especially with what's going on in Gaza right now, and people getting shadow banned. And we're shadow banned right now as we speak. We are shadow banned, and we get censored all the time because of what we post. And so ArtTV, or Art House TV, is becoming more and more of a kind of its own thing, where let's get away from these complicit platforms and create our own. Look what happened to Twitter. I mean, it's going south, right? Where's the platform where people can get together and also imagine possible futures? and work together towards something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in a nutshell, I guess that's kind of Art House TV and where it's going and what it is. So we've started doing segments, small segments that we have on our YouTube channel, which is Art House TV YouTube channel, to start to show little bits of ideas of it. But the ultimate goal is to really create our own platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's needed right now, you know.
A safe place
Yeah.
for really talking about the arts and social justice in depth. And
Yeah.
another element that Geoff touched on that will be a carryover from the Instagram is the timeliness of it, the liveness of it, the responsiveness of it. Not, you know, because that's a big part of how that community has been growing on Instagram is
like responding to
really,
in real time, responding to things.
Real time. So at least a portion of RTV will be about that, to honor that as well.
And I mean, you know what's happening with TikTok right now in the States, you know. The reason why they're banning it is because of all of the pro-Palestinian content. It's not, it doesn't have to do with the Chinese spying. And,
okay. And I just want to,
sorry.
That's okay. I just want to get in there that like as we are developing the idea of RTV, we can then separate the ArtHouseTO building a little bit and give it its due focus. So there's not there's definition between the two kind of projects and their how they take shape.
And a separate account entirely for the building itself. Yeah.
Same concepts, different iteration.
All right. Yeah.
That's a lot to throw at you there.
Yeah.
No. Like, I mean, again, I've been there like more times than ever to hear you guys have this conversation. So I completely understand.
Yeah.
So, well, I think for anyone listening, I think it's really great that you're sharing stuff like this because, again, a lot of us assume that work like this is just, it's not talked about enough. It's not talked about on platforms like these. So I think it's really great that you're sharing what you're doing. And it's important that for anyone out there that there are good people doing some great things like you two. You both are doing some amazing work with ArtHouseTO and RTV. I know that's something that's going to really come to life and it's going to show even more love and recognition to like the arts, the social justice topics, having those deep conversations, especially in a world today where like so much is going on around us, whether it's in our communities, in our cities, in other countries. I think it's always important to have these conversations, to keep talking and keep learning from these things, not trying to ignore and not trying to look at something as propaganda or take the wrong information. You don't want to like look at fake news. You want to be informed on stuff. You want to have like a fair judgment on certain thing, being able to assess situations. Those are important indicators. And I think the work you guys are doing here in Toronto, here and like for Canada as well, because I do see this like this is pushing out like information to Canada, because the audience you guys might have, it's not just restricted to here in like Toronto and North York.
No, it's worldwide. Like it really is. Yeah.
So it's just absolutely amazing, and I'm really glad that you guys have came on to share a lot about ArtHouseTO, and also probably to anyone listening out there, probably got like some new followers after this. I'm hoping from this conversation you guys will go check out ArtHouseTO on Instagram, tap into the stuff that they're doing. But before we wrap up, I want to do a quick fun activity. So it's something similar to like the hot seat. So I'm sorry in advance if this gets you guys thinking again, but I just want to kind of wrap things up on a fun note. So we're gonna do a game of this or that. Very, very simple. I'm just gonna ask a question and probably just like make it quick, you know, because I know like we have a couple minutes on here. So I'm trying to figure out some like really good questions to ask. Okay, here we go. The first one: art museum or history museum?
Art museum.
Okay. I thought there would have been like some like debate, to be honest. Okay, perfect. Indoors or outdoors?
Ooh.
Outdoors.
I'm kind of indoors.
A homebody. I understand. It's just like, you know what?
Yeah.
Probably indoors if it's like cold weather. If it's hot, outdoors, 100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
For me. And Sunday's gold, by the way. In my
Mm,
synesthesia world, Sunday is gold. Saturday is orange. Just so you know.
okay. Okay, okay.
Circling back.
Yeah.
Nice to know. Nice to know. Okay. Sing or dance?
Sing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
I'm definitely not the dancing type, so I will take sing 100 times over. Okay, the final one I have here: animals or people?
Ooh.
Animals.
I feel like if Slayer did not hear you guys say animals, it would have been a problem
Animals.
tonight.
Oh, I'm so she's been here right beside this
Yeah.
laptop pretty much this whole time.
We could have brought her in for a little farewell, but now she's off.
Oh man, I was about to say like you could have got her, and then like she could have made her debut here on Love Bay Radio.
Well, she's already made her debut a few times on your show on the Safe Room.
That is true. That is very, very true. But thank you guys for participating in that little quick activity, and thank you again for coming on the Safe Room here on Love Bay Radio. It was a fantastic conversation. That's all the questions I have. So again, Andrea, Geoff, I just want to say thank you for coming on, and thank you for everything in terms of just like supporting me, again, allowing me to go in your space to, you know, just do my interviews. And if you're someone who's listening and you're in Toronto, please go check them out. If you have something in terms of like an event, or if you just want to like use a space to work on, then please go reach out to them. They're absolutely phenomenal. So
you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, and you can DM us at ArtHouseTO on Instagram as well. Yeah.
Before we sign off, I would love to just do a shout out to all the theater students at York University who I'm missing terribly. They are amazing young artists. Also, my wonderful colleagues there, and my fellow members at QP 3903. We're currently on strike from York University.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you to everyone in the comment section for the kind words. I see my sister's in here.
Yes.
So appreciate it. Appreciate you. Where can people find you on social media? I mean, I feel like everyone could probably get a sense based on the conversation, but probably one more time, where can people like find you on social media?
So ArtHouseTO, it is as it sounds, and it's all one word. We do have a backup account with dots or periods in there because of our shadow bans, but it's all one word, ArtHouseTO, and you can follow us there. And you can also email us too if you want at contact@bpl.productions. You can also get a hold of us there.
And I'm at Andrea Battersby Artist on Instagram.
Yes.
And Geoff at Geoff Doner Music.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shon. Much love to you, really, and all the work you do.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. I see that Slayer is made her
say goodbye. Yeah.
She wanted to say goodbye to you, Shon. So.
Yes, absolutely. But thank you to everyone listening here on Love Bay Radio to the Safe Room podcast. This week, you can find us on Instagram at the Safe Room Official. If you want to check out any of our old episodes, go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just type in the Safe Room. You can find all our episodes there. We'll be back next week, hopefully without the technical difficulties next week, right here on Love Bay Radios at 8 p.m. But you know what? That's a part of the podcasting journey. It's still an amazing opportunity to be here on Love Bay Radio. So shout out to them to just allow me to have these conversations. Yes, absolutely. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks so much, Shon.
Thanks, Shon.